With an abundant supply of salmon, berries, ground squirrels, and carrion, the Becharof Refuge provides excellent habitat for numerous brown bears. Bears use nearly all the refuge lands from mountaintops to the seacoast. Depending on weather conditions and food supply, bears usually leave their dens in April or May and return in October and November. Some bears will den much later or not at all if adequate food supplies are available. The Becharof National Wildlife Refuge has about 1,200,000 acres and is located directly south of the Katmai National Park and Preserve. It contains Becharof Lake, which has approximately 300,000 acres and is the second largest lake in Alaska, and is the largest lake in the National Wildlife System. Mount Peulik, a 4,800-foot volcano with lava flows reaching to Becharof Lake, is a prominent landmark. Approximately 500,000 acres of the refuge were designated the Becharof Wilderness by the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act. The area represents a variety of pristine habitats with the entire complement of plant and animal associations still intact. Wilderness designation ensures that representative samples of these interdependent associations, some of which are unique, be perpetuated for the future. The genetic diversity protected by the unit will serve as an invaluable source of data for scientific investigation and for potential future needs for fish and wildlife protection, restoration, and enhancement. Becharof Lake is the largest freshwater lake in the system. The lake and its drainage support one of the largest sockeye salmon runs in Bristol Bay, as well as a large suite of their predators, including char, Arctic grayling, brown bears, cormorants, terns, and bald eagles. The uplands provide habitat for moose, caribou, nesting waterfowl, and songbirds, small mammals, and other species. Many subsistence and recreational hunters hunt caribou within this area. The outlet of Becharof Lake is popular with subsistence fishermen and recreational anglers. Significant paleontological resources have been located in the fossil-rich upland, including the remains of a giant marine reptile found in the Peulik drainage. The area has special scenic and public use values. The island arm of Becharof Lake provides most of the spawning and rearing habitat for sockeye salmon within the Becharof drainage. Consequently, it hosts one of the highest density of brown bears feeding on spawning salmon that occur in the refuge. Island Arm is especially scenic with its many small islands and surrounding mountains. Among them, the Ruth Lake and River provide an outstanding example of a beautiful glaciated mountain drainage. The uplands on the eastern boundary of the refuge support important brown bear denning and moose winter range. The area is one of the most scenic parts of the refuge. The Gas Rocks area is geologically significant, being one of Alaska's most recent volcanically active sites. In 1977, eruption of the Ukenrik Mars received international attention. In addition to its scientific and educational values, the area is especially scenic. At 4,800 feet, the classic volcanic cone of Mount Peulik dominates the area. Nestled in its side, the cinder cones complete the unique volcanic landscape. The King Salmon River drainage provides an important spawning and rearing habitat for all species of Pacific salmon except sockeye. It also contains significant Dolly Varden char and Arctic grayling populations in the further south resident rainbow trout population on the Alaska Peninsula. The area provides brown bear, moose, and caribou habitat, as well as nesting habitat for tundra swans, sandhill cranes, and other birds. It is important for local subsistence as well as for recreational angling and hunting. The Big Creek drainage area is important for salmon spawning and rearing and includes key moose, caribou, and brown bear habitats. It is one of the most heavily visited parts of the refuge for subsistence purposes and is a favorite trapping area for local residents. Recreational hunting for moose is popular in this area of the refuge. Becharof provides important habitat for many fish and wildlife species. The population includes brown bear, moose, caribou, wolf, wolverine, fox, river otter, beaver, 5 species of Pacific salmon, Arctic grayling, on and on. Birds commonly seen include bald eagles, owls, falcons, ravens, ducks, geese, swans, seabirds, shorebirds. There are sea lions, harbor seals, sea otters, and migratory whales using the offshore waters and the shores here. The northern Alaska Peninsula caribou herd is one of the 13 major herds within the state. Herd size fluctuates naturally and is varied from 2,000 to 20,000 animals during the last half of the 20th century. The herd migrates up to 200 miles from spring calving grounds to winter range past Becharof Lake north of King Salmon to the Aleknak River. The moose are relative newcomers to the Alaska Peninsula. They have been observed since the early 1900s, but did not become abundant until the 1950s. Moose travel seasonally for breeding, calving, and wintering areas. Migration varies from a few miles to more than 50 miles during this period. These huge beasts stand 5 to 7 feet at the shoulder with long legs that make movement through the wet tundra, shallow ponds, and limited snow relatively easy. Moose browse on vegetation, especially willow, birch, and aspen. Although they appear harmless, moose can be very dangerous, especially females with young. More than 200 species of birds have been observed on or near the refuge, of which 15 to 20 species of game birds, shorebirds, songbirds, and raptors are year-round residents. The refuge provides important spring and fall staging areas and moderately good breeding habitat for many species. The cliffs, bays, and poorly drained lowlands provide abundant habitat for millions of birds, particularly seabirds, waterfowl, and shorebirds that use the refuge primarily as a staging area during migration to and from nesting grounds in the Arctic. Seabirds also use the refuge for breeding. Numerous ponds, lakes, streams, and wetlands on the peninsula provide ample breeding habitat for a number of species. In the summer, migratory songbirds and raptors make use of the abundant shrublands, tundra, and forest environments. Many of the salmon from the world's most valuable sockeye salmon industry spawn in the streams that originate on refuge lands. The ecosystem of the refuge is fueled by massive runs of the salmon that enrich freshwater streams and lakes with nutrients from the ocean. All 5 species of Pacific salmon spawn in the streams and lakes on the refuge. The salmon runs begin in June and continue to September in Bristol Bay and into December in the Cheatnik area. This has been David in the Becharof National Wildlife Reserve. Thank you for watching.